The- Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome to Women That Shred. This is, I have to say, a particularly very special episode for me. Very special. And then I just found out that my guest, Denise Panza, this is her very first live. Like, what?
True story.
Oh my gosh, Denise. So what's crazy about that is that, you're someone that I have been following on LinkedIn for years. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because you're like the first loan officer with a brand, at least for me. And so when you just told me that this is your first live, I was like, no way. Not possible. Yes. Oh my gosh, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm really,
You're
really
beautiful
good.
as always.
Oh, thank you. You too. This is really quite spectacular too, that this is our very first conversation as well.
It is. You're right. Thank you for inviting me, Raquel.
Absolutely. It's funny because when I reached out to you, I was like, I don't know, like, is she going to want to be on my show? Like, we've only engaged on LinkedIn posts. Like, I was nervous reaching out to you.
What? No, not at all. I'm
That's
flattered.
a true story.
I'm flattered. I'm girl crushing. I'm flattered. Thank you so much again.
Yeah.
For my first live. I'm happy my first live is with you.
You know what? I tend to be a lot of people's first with their lives. Like, that's something that I take it's very humbling for me that like most people's first have been on this show.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really awesome. So Denise, I'm trying to think so I got on LinkedIn for the first time back, I want to say like 2014. But I wasn't in the mortgage industry. I was working for a builder, and then I got into the mortgage industry like 2015, and that's when I started kind of purposely and intentionally going through my network and trying to follow people that were in the industry. And for whatever reason, you and I connected with you, and you were the very first person. You and I think Sue Woodard. But you were the one that I saw, like, you had pictures, like you basically like were putting yourself out there on LinkedIn. And I thought, wow, like this is really cool. And so I've always admired the fact that you just kind of like essentially were like a trailblazer on LinkedIn as a loan officer. So I want to know, like, what compelled you to get on LinkedIn, because nobody was doing it at the time. It was all Facebook.
Right. So I guess I just wanted to, I was always on Facebook and Instagram, and I just wanted to do something a little different and just spread my horizons. And I just, that's what I did. I just said, you know what, let's just try this LinkedIn thing out. And it worked. Thank God.
I know. I mean, that's the thing, is like, you're someone that you can tell that you actually built like relationships and business through those relationships on LinkedIn. Because, there's plenty of people that are on social media that have this like influence, but you don't really know on the back end if it's actually doing anything.
It is really paying off. It is paying off.
Yeah.
And also I think I now am licensed in 14 states solely because of LinkedIn. Because somebody will say, hey, I'm in Georgia, can you do my mortgage? And I'm like, I'll be right back. And 72 hours later, I'll get my Georgia license. So for LinkedIn, absolute blessing, because it stretched me out 14. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I think I remember you having that post that you said, like, because of all of you and all the people that want to do business with me, I've been, getting licenses in a ton of different states. Because I know, are you in Jersey and Florida, or are you now like full-time Florida?
I am a full-time Floridian. Okay. Didn't you just recently move too? Didn't we both just do big life changes?
Back. Yeah. So I moved from Virginia to California, to San Diego, where my native homeland.
Okay. So I just did New York to Florida.
Okay. So not New Jersey. Sorry. New York. Okay. Yeah. So New York to Florida. And, are you loving it? Because that's a big change too.
I am loving it. I did it because I became an empty nester. I think we both have a daughter the same age. Is your daughter a freshman in college too?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did it to follow my daughter because my son is 28. He's in Brooklyn. And then this 18-year-old that's been my whole life was
Yeah.
like going to Florida to go to school. So I was like, I have to go with her. I have to follow her.
Yeah.
So I moved down here and I sold my house in New York. I moved down here. And then after the first semester, my daughter decided that she needed to go back to her high school love, and she left me.
No,
I
she's
tried.
like peace.
Yeah, she did. She was. Peace out, mom. Pretty much. And then I bawled my face off for like a whole week. And I'm like, oh my God, what the hell did I just do? But now I look at it, Raquel, I truly look at it. I tell everyone this now, that I look at it like a blessing. If she didn't come to Florida to do the whole, FGCU, then I wouldn't be here. And now this is where I'm supposed to be.
I was gonna say, I feel like Florida totally suits you. Like I mean, I feel like that's where you belong. Just like me in California. Like once you realize, okay, yeah, this is it. Like so,
Yeah,
yeah.
you look like a California girl versus a Virginia girl. Nothing against Virginia. Virginia's lovely, but you just look like a Cali girl.
Energy. Yeah, it's like a different energy. Just like with Florida, like I feel like the energy in Florida and the people and the sun and just being outside. Like I feel like that's your vibe too.
It's working so far.
I love it. So going back to LinkedIn and just kind of putting yourself out there, because even though that was years ago for you and you were, like I said, kind of the first and a trailblazer and you've gotten so much business out of it, there are so many loan officers and so many people in this industry are just now dipping their toe in to this whole LinkedIn thing, personal branding. So I love that you're someone that's been doing it for years and you're like, hey, it worked. So I want you to give kind of some advice, like for those that are just starting out, like what is it that you did? Like, how did you kind of navigate all of it in the beginning?
I think at first I actually don't even know that I thought I was going to get business from it. Because when I thought of LinkedIn, I think of LinkedIn, that's where you go to find a job. I already had a job. So I'm like, why am I going to go on? But I thought, but these are like really cool people on here and they need mortgages. So why not go on and talk about mortgages? So at first I was just doing it just to kind of, just share knowledge about the mortgage industry, the cool programs that are out there. And then all of a sudden when the phone started ringing, I'm like, wait a minute. This is fabulous. I didn't know like that I was ultimately going to get business. And then obviously it's just gotten better. And then, you got to stay fresh, right? You have to keep on thinking of new ideas. Or I actually always wanted to have I wanted to be different, do something original, hence my letterboard. And in letterboard fashion, look what I have for you, girl.
Dal, can you screenshot that or something?
So the letterboards just came out because you have to, at first I was doing Wind Down Wednesday and, I'd have a glass of wine, just something catchy, something that would keep me.
I will have to say, talking about like relatability, and I tell people like it's so important to really kind of just share who you are. The wine aspect, like, a lot of people can be like, oh, wow, she's like talking about drinking wine all the time. But that was something that I like also felt a connection with you with, because I love wine. So it works. It's not like
a lot of people would write me and say, oh, I feel like I'm having a glass of wine with you.
Yeah.
But then I thought, am I overdoing it with the wine? People are going to think I have like a problem. So I was like, maybe just like, let me stick to Mortgage Tip Tuesday. But you know what? I'm going to bring Wind Down Wednesday back. I miss it.
Yeah.
And then the letterboard.
That's the beauty of it, right? Like that's the cool thing is that I tell people like, find what connects and resonates with your audience. Like it's going to be kind of like, just one like trial and error where you find out and figure out like what it is that people are connecting with. And you brought back Wine Back Wednesday, or because people were missing the wine and resonated with that and wanted it, so you brought it back, right? So like that's what's really neat about just kind of playing around too with social media and seeing what sticks essentially.
And I think that's why the letterboards help me be consistent, because I know that I have to, like, if everyone can find their little niche, their little fun, fact or fun item, their prop, whatever that works for them, it'll keep you consistent. Because at the end of the day, you have to be consistent on LinkedIn. If you fall off, like when I'm gone for like 2 weeks, I'm like, oh my God, did I just mess up this whole 4 years that I've been doing this? And so the letterboards make me stay consistent.
Okay, yeah, that's key because we all talk about how consistency is key, but for a lot of people it's really difficult. But you're right, if you can find that one thing that you know that you can do all the time. Like for instance, I'm consistent at being just a goofball and being funny, right? So like for me, I can be
No, but
consistent.
I want to say something. With my girlfriend, when I was telling one of my girlfriends I'm doing a live, and they're like, "Who are you doing it with?" And I'm like, "Raquel." And like, "Who is she?" And I'm like, "Well, from when I knew her back in the day, I think of
Yeah.
her as like this ray of sunshine for LinkedIn because she's
Aw.
always smiling, she's always giggling." And then I think, weren't you big into art too?
Yeah, so I'm an artist as
That's what
well.
I
Yeah.
thought. Okay, I
Yeah.
was like, "That's who
Yeah,
she
and
is."
that's yeah, so but that's like the whole point, right? Is that when you think if someone mentions your name, like what do you think of? And so it's like the same thing with you. Like you were someone where like you always were that person in the back of my head when everyone talks about personal branding and loan officers and having this like image and you have done it with like such grace and class. Like really you've been very consistent with that as well. Like I really feel like you've been kind of the same Denise and just yeah, I don't know. It's just you've always had this like
Thank you.
pristine image for
Thank
me.
you. I'm not sure about the grace and the class, but I'm a little goofy, but you know what? It works for me. So, but
But
thank you.
I'm goofy too, but I feel like you can be classy and goofy at the same
Sure.
time.
Okay. Touche. You can.
So I also wanted to ask you, like also because we talk about how you put yourself out there and having your niche and doing your board, but on the back end, how much time and effort do you put on the back end of like messaging with people, building those relationships? Because for me, I feel like that's really important, and so I'm just curious, like, has that been something for you as well?
I think that's helped a lot. So when, if I do a post, I comment to everybody. And you have to. And
Yeah,
sometimes I could spend like, 30 minutes a day, responding, but you
yeah,
have to, because if they're taking time out of their day to respond to you, you can't just post stuff and just expect like all these wonderful things to happen.
be
You have
reciprocal.
to engage. And so
Yeah.
I that is so important. Like if you're going to do this and you're going to post, you better be sure that you're reading all your private messages and that you're commenting right on your page, because that's where all the magic happens.
It's true. And you're someone that I've noticed too from the beginning that you do get a ton of engagement. Like you do get a lot of comments and you are really good at responding. Like, because I think the first time I might have commented on your post and you responded, I was like so excited.
It's so
Because
funny.
there are so many people out there that do have a lot of engagement, but they don't take the time to respond. There's a couple people I know where I'm always shocked at the fact that they never respond to any of their comments and yet they still get all this engagement. And
I
I'd be
thought
the
that
type of
too.
yeah,
I
like I'd
see
be the
that
type of
sometimes
person.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
I
be
see
like,
that too.
why? I'm like, I would stop engaging and commenting on someone's post if they never like. I've done that before. I'm like, I'm done commenting on your post because you don't even have like the time to say thank you
I
or
agree.
or
I agree.
respond. And
And
so yeah,
I
it makes a
know.
difference.
And you also think they probably could multiply their business if they did engage. So I mean, it's like
Yeah,
you're halfway there. You might as well, follow it
yeah.
through. But that's
No,
important.
and I mean, but it takes time. I mean, that's that. For instance, when I went ahead and actually started my own business, I left the mortgage industry 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago now. That was 2020 for to start do my own personal branding, like consulting. And I actually did do the notification that I was changing my careers. Like usually I have all those notifications off, but I'm like, I'm going to turn it on this time because this is a big deal. Like I'm a business owner now.
I remember this.
And I responded personally to every single DM that I got congratulating me. And there were some that are automated. So if they were automated, I still responded, but I didn't take the extra effort to like
Right.
personalize it.
Just
But
hit
when I
like a
knew it was
smiley face.
personalized,
Yeah.
yeah, then when I knew it was personalized, I went ahead and like responded and added a little bit more. I remember I spent an entire Friday night and Saturday evening or Saturday morning responding, but I was like, it's those little things that make a difference when people, are in your community. They take that and they're like, oh wow, she's actually taking the time and energy to do
It's
this.
true.
I'm going to give my time and energy to her as well.
Have you done, is your birthday reflected on LinkedIn?
No, and that's someone just posted today, like, hey, it's my birthday month. Like, do me a favor, like, don't automate like the happy birthday. And I actually commented and said that's why I have my notifications off because I rather not have anybody wish me a happy birthday than have just all these automated happy birthdays. So
But
I
you
would
do.
think,
So I will say this though, it gets overwhelming. I mean, literally can get like thousands and thousands, and some are automated, which I still appreciate them just clicking the one little button. But sometimes that's when people will actually be comfortable to actually engage with you. Like they'll say, "Happy
right.
birthday, by the way, Denise." So they wouldn't maybe
Okay.
like do that.
Well, that's personalized.
Right.
See, by the way, Denise. So yeah,
But
that
then
makes sense.
I think the birthday is, even though it gets a little overwhelming and you really have to
Yeah.
respond to a lot, but it's obviously it's a beautiful thing. But I think it's also can open up the door to some relationships because they wouldn't have probably messaged you any other way, just
Yeah.
randomly. But it's like
Yeah.
they're there, it's your birthday, and oh, you know what, Denise? And then they just start talking.
Okay, maybe I'll turn it on this
Maybe.
year.
I think you should. Just do it for 1 year. When's your birthday? Do it for 1 year.
Yeah, it's August 8th, so it's this year. Yeah. So maybe I'll do that. But we have another Denise that just copped on. Denise Russo. Do you know Denise?
Yes, we work
Okay.
together. She's a colleague.
'Cause I
She's
don't know Denise.
fantastic.
But this is cool because a lot of times, people obviously like with the live, it's hard to kind of jump in, but we get a lot of people that come into the playback. And then it's great because this show tends to open up people's networks too. So then I get to connect with your network, and then people get,
Good.
your network gets to connect with mine. So it's all
Good.
that's what's like really cool about this show too. So welcome,
Awesome.
Denise. So how many years have you been in the industry then?
I'm going on 29.
So how did you even get in? I always like to know, like, hear the stories because everyone has like always kind of like a cool story.
Yeah. So I went to college in Boston and I wanted to be PI Panza. I went for criminal justice. Yeah, that's what I wanted to be.
Really?
So I went freshman year. I failed this one particular criminal justice course. So here comes sophomore year. I got a F in it. So and the Northeastern is a 5-year school to begin with. So I thought,
Okay.
if I don't hurry up and switch gears, my ass is going to be here for like 7 years. So
Yeah.
I decided that I wanted to be a teacher in the inner city. I wanted to go back to Brooklyn and teach in the inner city. So I switched gears from criminal justice to teaching. I got my teaching degree, kindergarten through 6th grade, never taught a day in my life, unfortunately, because when I left Northeastern, I moved back to New York thinking I was going to get a great teaching job.
Yeah.
And it was a big teaching freeze in 1993. So I did not land a job. But I went back to Boston thinking, you know what, Northeastern, I just gave them 5 years of my life. They're going to find me a teaching job. And Northeastern did not find me a teaching job. I was like substitute teaching like 1 day a week, which wasn't going to work. And then Denise got pregnant at 23, not married, had a baby.
Okay.
And then I realized that I need to go home. I need my mom to help me. So I moved back to New York and still couldn't get a teaching job. And now I had like a 3-month-old. So I just opened up the paper, and the first job that I found was a post closer at a mortgage company in Brewster, New York, making like, I don't know, $7 an hour. And I just grabbed it, and I've been here ever since.
Oh my gosh. So post closer. So then how long were you in that role before you realized like I could do sales and be a loan
So
officer?
post closer is, the bottom of the totem pole. I mean, they're important, but it's not like, there's not a lot of room for advancement there. And I would just look at all the loan officers and I'm like, oh gosh, I want to do what they do. Like they look so important, and they like make
the handbags, the cars, the clothes. Like,
And I don't know if I told you this. Excuse me, my father. We were just talking about dads before. Your dad,
yeah,
cardiologist. My dad was a mortgage guy, so he owned a mortgage company in New York. So when I would come home from school, from college, I would be like the copy queen, because back in the day we weren't paperless. So I would like copy all the files. I would just sit at the copier machine. But I would look at my father, he was, the president, and all the people, loan officers and underwriters would go into his office. And it was like, I always had a crush on the business, I guess. So it just kind of, it happened that I just fell into my lap, and here I am. And I know looking back, and I love what I do.
Yeah. I mean, you're meant to also, and be in sales. Like you have that personality where,
I didn't think so, but because I don't like rejection. But
you have that personality that people would gravitate towards you, and I feel like, obviously this is our first conversation together, but just being in the industry and knowing loan officers and the sales side of it, like you see that person where anybody that comes to you, you make them feel like they're like your friend, and that you have a way of just kind of making the process fun and not so daunting and not so horrifying. Like
Thank you.
I sense that from you. So,
Thank you.
and I don't even know you very well.
Well, thank
So I can
you.
only imagine like people that actually work with you. So yeah, that was, so it doesn't surprise me that just your personality and then the fact that you were willing to put yourself out there, like that together is just such a winning combo. And that's why, with loan officers, I'm like, most loan officers are amazing salespeople. I mean, that's what it is, sales. But if they already have like a great personality and great way of building relationships offline, just imagine if they could just add the online element to it.
It's
And
not
you're
that
like
easy
that
for a lot of,
perfect
I know,
example.
I try and push folks to do it, but some people, I mean,
I
it's
know.
hard. It's really hard.
It is really hard, but I feel like the more of us that are just out there, like trying to encourage others to do it, the better. I mean, that's what I do at my company. I tell people I'm essentially like a cheerleader over here. Like, come
That's
on,
perfect for
you
you.
got this, you can do it, like, don't worry about what people are going to say or think. And like, that's what I do. But I do it because I know that, it could be a huge success for people. And I'm just that person that wants people to be successful. Like I root for everybody. I'm just
That's so nice.
that person. So I'm always like, come on, you can do this, you can do it. And I feel like you're probably like that too, with a lot of your colleagues and coworkers that are a
Yes,
little bit
I'm pushing
resistant.
them. There's
Yeah.
a couple that are doing it.
Yeah, I have a couple people here too that are starting to do it, and then they realize it's actually fun.
It
Like,
is.
don't you think it's fun? Like, I find it fun.
It is. Well, it's my little entertainment for the week or two. Yeah, because now I'm in Florida by myself. So
Yeah.
it's my weekly entertainment, go down and just talk to myself and hope that somebody wants to talk back.
No, yeah. I mean, and I'm assuming too now that probably the transition from New York to Florida was probably really easy for you too, just being that you had so many connections. I'm sure you were able to reach out and be like, "Hey, guess what? I'm moving down there." And I'm sure everybody was like super willing to like help and
Well,
support.
it's really interesting how many people from LinkedIn are down in Naples. So I've already
Yeah.
met with
Oh,
like
yeah,
a
there are
hand,
a ton.
I've already met with a handful of folks from LinkedIn that are like, I'm in Naples. Let's grab a drink. Let's grab a drink. Yeah. See that
Yeah. No,
drinking
see,
trend
that's
again? I got to watch
fantastic.
that.
Yeah. No, but that's what's really great about it too, right? Is that like that makes the transition easier, and then even for business, because a lot of people for business when they move across the country like I did, or you move, another state, you're kind of feel like, "Oh, am I going to have to start all over again?" But that's the beauty of already having a community and a network online like LinkedIn, is that you can just be like, "Yeah, let me search and see who of my connections are
Yeah.
here." And so it makes it so much easier. And I feel like
Yes.
that's another thing that people are kind of missing out on as well, is like, I mean, not everyone's going to stay in the same place
Right.
forever.
Exactly.
So why not
Social
expand your
media. You gotta
horizons?
love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I just saw that you were on Instagram. It's so I have to ask you this too. I have been trying to kind of get my LinkedIn network over onto Instagram to follow me there. It's been a little tough. Do you have a lot of crossover between your LinkedIn and Instagram, or is it very different?
I don't know that I want everyone from LinkedIn to see me on Instagram, because then
Well,
I'm
you do
really a
have
bit.
it on private mode. You do have it on private. So like you did have to um allow me to follow you on Instagram. So
I am going to change that. My marketing, there's a total. He's like, Denise, your page is private, and
yeah.
it was always not private. But then everyone kept on stealing my identity, and all these fake pages were being opened, like Denise,
Oh
Denise
gosh. Okay.
Panza, and they would actually put my NMLS number, but you could tell it was like little broken English. They weren't really spelling the
Yeah.
words right. But then they started pulling pictures of my kids and my daughter, and that's when I got like really.
Oh, okay. That makes
But
sense.
but I guess it's going to happen. And now I kind of know how to get around it. You just take a picture of yourself holding your driver's license, you send it to Instagram, and then typically in 48 hours, the page is gone. But
Oh, is
I
that
think I
okay? Because
am
I
going
know
to.
I report, like, because I have a lot of people that I follow, that have, those fake accounts, and you can tell right away, and I'll go ahead and report. But that's awesome that you're able to do that. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing though, right? Like if you're trying to build a business and you're trying to gain business to have, I tell people like if you're on Instagram and it's on private, but you're trying to get
Yeah, so
business,
I'm
like
going to change it. I'll change
yeah,
it
so
today.
I do agree you should change it. Unfortunately, you get people that are going to take your account. I was flattered. It was funny because I had it's only happened to me once, and I was actually at a NAREB conference in DC, and suddenly my phone's blowing up, and my daughter's calling me, and I'm like, "What is happening?" And I had someone had created a fake account, and I was starting to follow all my followers, and I actually was like, "Woohoo! I made it!"
You're so silly.
Instead of being upset, I was like, "Hey, this is a good sign. This means I'm doing something right on social."
I guess it is a compliment, Raquel.
I don't know.
But
That's how I saw it. John, what is your advice? Oh, what is your advice for getting started with branding and social media? So what's your advice, Denise? And then I'll, I guess, elaborate on that.
I think it's picking that niche. Like mine happens to be the letter boards, right? But there's so many. I mean, I'm sure whatever works for you, but find something that is just that's different, that sets you apart. Maybe it's something that you see someone doing on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, I mean, and then just kind of give it a shot on LinkedIn, right? Try it out there
Yeah.
first. Something that
Yeah.
might work
Or
because
just put your spin on it, because there's a
yeah,
lot of, there's people that I follow on Instagram in particular and LinkedIn, and I love what they do, just like you. Like I loved what you did, so it's like, all right, how can I kind of emulate something like that,
yes,
but put my own personality into it? Because let's be honest, people are constantly like taking stuff from other people, but if you do in a way that's very genuine, that you're like, oh, I like that idea, but I'm going to make it mine. There's a difference between like copying someone's brand and then, just kind of taking something from
yeah, like
it.
you said, just put your own little twist to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, she and I were actually, I feel badly because she and I were supposed to have lunch today, but I have to drive to Tucson right after the show. And she's in title. And so we were going to go ahead and talk. And that's like what's really cool too, is that now that I'm back in San Diego, I'm getting to meet all these people that I've never met before. I'm in a different phase of my life, and I'm excited to like now help people out here with their brand and kind of collaborate too. So for me, it's exciting, kind of starting all over again out here in San Diego, because I felt like I was like a big fish in a little pond in Virginia. Like I was starting to outgrow,
Okay, that
like
makes sense.
yeah, like where you were
I'm
starting to
excited
like
for you.
know everybody.
I'm
And I
excited for
love that I
you.
come out here, I don't know anybody like
This
in
is
this
good. This
industry.
is good. I'm excited for you. Excited to
Yeah,
watch you do your thing.
yeah. But is there any like, because this is your first live, you've been around for a while, you've been doing this, but I feel like, with this show, it's also just sharing the spotlight in a way like where if you wanted to share anything, if there's anything that you want to like say to our audience, like this is your opportunity to just, say it.
Okay. I will say that, and some of my girlfriends knew I was having complete anxiety doing this live with you, but I have to say my heart is not racing as fast anymore.
Okay.
So do it. Like just step outside of your comfort zone and do it because it's not that bad. And who the heck cares? Life is too short.
Yeah, I love that it's coming from you, because once again, you're someone that already has this persona. You're someone that has, all this visibility on LinkedIn. You've gotten all this business from it, but yet there's still elements, of your personality of you that are still, scare you. And and
Yeah.
and we all have that. Like I have the same thing too. Like people assume that I'm really good at public speaking or I love speaking in front of people. I'm really good like this. Like I'm really good in front of my phone, my camera, one of these, like I can go ahead and retake it. I could like
That's
do
how I
all
am.
over
But
again.
even me, like at home doing a video, like if I do a video for LinkedIn and it's just me and my phone,
Yeah.
I'll still sometimes we'll do like 20 takes. And I'm like, what the heck?
Yeah.
This is not supposed to be so hard. And I'm still after you look at me on there sometimes and people are like, wow, you look like a natural. And I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm not. I have a lot of anxiety. I just know I want to do it. I'm barely a
Yeah.
motivated individual. So I'm like, if I don't put it out there, the phone's not going to ring, and I'm a salesperson. 100%
Yeah.
commission. We gotta hustle, girl.
Yeah, but see, but that you acknowledge that same thing. Like, I'm not good at like, I don't think I'm good at public speaking. I get super nervous. Same thing too. I'm like, oh my gosh, am I gonna, like stumble over my words? Am I gonna sound like an idiot? Am I not gonna make sense? Am I gonna talk too fast? So those same things I have as well. Like we all do. Like that's what's like really important for me to share. Like talking to you is that we all have our insecurities, we all
Right.
have our fears, but we also understand like how important it is to just step outside of it,
Right.
kind
That's
of
the
just
difference.
do it.
Right. That's the difference. So
Yeah.
other folks that want to be doing this, they just have to do their first video, and then their second,
Yeah.
and then their third, and then their fourth, and they'll be right here with you and I.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Denise, see already we hit the 30-minute mark.
We did.
It just goes by so quickly. Yeah, thank you for everyone that joined and is going to join. And reach out to Denise on LinkedIn. Clearly she will respond, and clearly she knows how important it is to build those relationships. So connect with her. Denise, like, thank you, like, seriously, thank you so much. Like, I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you, Raquel. I appreciate this. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yay. So now we have to like stay connected.
Okay, perfect. And if you're ever in Florida.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Are
Okay.
you kidding me? And ever in San Diego, vice versa,
Okay.
girl.
Deal.
All right. Well, thanks everyone. Happy Wednesday. Enjoy the rest.